The film starts during World War II, where we see a Japanese businessman named Saito being sent back to Japan along with some other prisoners. They're all going to be forced into slave labor. Saito is separated from the others. Soon, two guards bring him to the ship's commander. The commander looks at him with hatred and says that betraying your own country is unforgivable, but the death sentence will be easy for you. The crime you committed deserves more than just death. Just then, some other soldier, Bronson, they bring in another prisoner by name. Bronson was from Britain, and he held a deep hatred for the Japanese. The commander laid out his plan. He said that for as long as they had life left, they would be chained together and killed like that. All the soldiers stepped forward and handcuffed their legs together. Bronson screamed, "Go ahead and kill me, but don't chain me to a Japanese guy." But no one listened. It felt like this was their fate now, when suddenly the enemies launched an attack. Gunfire breaks out on the ship, and everyone who was being held captive starts revolting. Amid the chaos, Bronson and Saito spot their chance and make a run for it, fighting off the soldiers as they go. Then a submarine comes close and fires a missile at the ship. The sudden attack kills everyone on board. Now only the commander and these two prisoners are left alive. The commander pulls out his gun, ready to shoot them, but before the whole ship explodes, Bronson quickly grabs Saito and jumps into the sea. After a few hours, Bronson started swimming and took Saito to a deserted island. When they reached land, Bronson collapsed unconscious. The next day, when Saito woke up, he thought it was all just a bad dream, but when he saw the chain on his ankle, he freaked out because it was real. He tried to waken Bronson, but he was still out cold. Nearby, they found a soldier's dead body washed up on a shore, and that's when Saito grabbed his gun. He was just about to shoot Bronson and free himself. When Bronson suddenly woke up, he suddenly attacked. A fierce fight breaks out between the two. While they were fighting by the sea, a terrifying scream echoes from the water. Bronson tries to push Saito into the sea, but Saito's injured leg starts bleeding. The creature in the water smells the blood and begins to approach. This monster suddenly grabs Bronson and attacks him. It moves as fast as lightning and has sharp, dangerous claws. Saito quickly grabs his gun and points it at Bronson, but instead of shooting Bronson, he fires at the monster. He shoots, but before the bullet hits, he steps back and disappears into the water. Bronson was now wounded. Both of them realized that on this island, something way more dangerous than their rivalry was out there. They decided not to kill each other. They made this deal just to stay alive. After moving a bit away, Bronson asked, "What was that monster? Have you ever seen it before? What kind of creature is it?" Since they spoke different languages, Saito pretended like he understood everything. He couldn't understand what the creature was saying, but the look on its face made it clear that whatever it had just seen was some kind of deadly, dangerous monster. That's why Saito stayed quiet for a while, stuck in trouble, trying to figure out how to survive. But when no way out appeared, he got upset, thinking he was definitely going to die there. So he tried to take his own life, but Bronson quickly stopped him and said, "Are you crazy?" Then he took out the last bullet from his gun and gave it to Saito, saying, "We both have to face this together. We have to fight the monster." Both of them found some stuff that had washed up on the shore. Bronson found a pack of cigarettes and offered it to Saito, but Saito refused to take it. Sadness was clear in his eyes. While Bronson was searching for useful things, he came across the body of a young soldier who was his own comrade. Seeing him, Bronson broke down crying and said, "Oh God, this was such a young guy. Poor kid, he was killed. He had his whole life ahead of him." Then he started getting angry at the Japanese. He said, "If the Japanese hadn't started the war, this poor guy wouldn't have, he was alive." Even though he couldn't quite understand what he was saying, he could fully feel his pain. He gave Bronson some water. Bronson drank it, and together they started gathering the stuff they'd need for the night. When it got dark, they began setting up camp. Bronson tried to put on his shoe, but the chains were hurting him, so he couldn't get it on. Then Saito offered him an open shoe from a dead soldier, but Bronson flat out refused to wear it because he didn't want to.
He didn't even want to touch the Japanese stuff. Bronson was really hungry, so Saito made him some food. It was crab. They both ate and started to warm up to each other. Then Bronson opened up about himself, and Saito began to understand a bit. He even learned how to say Bronson's name. After that, Saito shared about himself too. Bronson asked what they should do about the chains, but Saito stayed quiet. Later, Bronson tried to make a tool to cut the chains. He gave it a shot, but didn't succeed. Just then, Saito pointed to the weak links in the chain with his foot and said something in Japanese. Bronson didn't get it, but seeing the gesture, he thought he should give it a try. After 2 strikes, the chain loosed. Now it was Bronson's turn, and Saito asked for a weapon, which made Bronson a bit nervous, but he trusted him anyway. When Saito started hitting the chain near Bronson's foot, Bronson said, "Man, I'm really scared. I can't watch this. I'm just gonna close my eye." Hearing that, Saito laughed. Then, with just 1 strike, he freed Bronson. Both of them were happy to see that they were free and unharmed. They were even celebrating, but their voices caught the attention of something lurking in the dark. Saito sensed that something was coming towards them, and both of them got alert. They grabbed their weapons and went to check. They found footprints, but the noise coming from behind caught their attention. When they turned around, they saw that it was 2 Japanese soldiers with the prisoner. Bronson started to suspect Saito now. He won't back him up, but Saito, to gain Bronson's trust, handed him his weapon and told him to hide quick. Saito stayed put and noticed the food boiling. Just then, a soldier caught the smell and started moving forward to check it out, and Saito suddenly appeared in front of him. He immediately said, "Please don't shoot." Meanwhile, Bronson was watching all this from a distance. The soldiers didn't know that Saito had been called a traitor, so they trusted him, but Bronson had no idea that the real danger was right behind him. Now, Saito asked his old buddies if anyone else was still alive. They replied that only they were left because they were wearing life jackets while everyone else drowned. Soon, Bronson realized that the sea creature he was so scared of, the one that made him close his eyes, was right behind him. He didn't know what to do, but when he opened his eyes again, the scary creature was gone. Now, the Japanese soldier was questioning Saito, asking if there was definitely no one else around. Saito said, "Yeah, I'm the only one left," but the soldiers started suspecting there was someone else because they found some clues that Bronson had been there, like his stuff and clothes. So one soldier grabbed his sword and said, "Before we find the ship, there's a rumor going around that a traitor and an enemy have been chained up for a year." When they took the cloth off Saito's leg and saw the injury, they realized Saito was the traitor. The soldier then asked him, "Now tell us, where's the enemy?" Saito said, "He's dead." He pointed towards a grave where Bronson's friend was buried, that young guy. Then another soldier said that Saito wasn't just a traitor, but a liar too, and threatened that if he didn't tell the truth, he'd slit his throat. Suddenly, a loud, terrifying roar made everyone panic. Hearing that, another prisoner got scared and started shouting that whatever that creature was, it seemed really dangerous. He dropped to his knees and began praying for protection. A soldier told a young recruit to go check out what was making the noise, and that recruit was Bronson. Just as he was about to reach the cave, a growl caught his attention from the other side again. Following that, the soldier took the forest path and came face to face with the cave, called Gar, and without thinking, he went inside, but he had no idea that the monster was hiding right between 2 rocks. Once inside the cave, the soldier felt the creature moving behind him, so he quickly swung his sword. But before he could even hit, the creature's swift attack tore his arm right off, making the soldier scream in agony.
A loud sound echoed across the entire island. Hearing it, another soldier thought it was because of Saito and started attacking him, but Bronson struck back and injured that soldier. Just as Bronson was about to shoot him, the creature smashed the soldier's head off, tossing it away from the body. Then it roared loudly, scaring everyone, and they all ran off to hide on both sides. The creature then went to the injured soldier and brutally killed him too. Another prisoner tried to run, but the creature was on him. He climbed up and brutally killed him too. Bronson and Saito were watching all this from a distance. They decided they needed to get out of there, but the creature spotted them as well and started chasing after them. Both of them ran towards the forest, and Saito kept clearing the path by cutting through plants with his machete. Bronson said, "I've got a plan. We need to stop." But Saito didn't get what he meant and kept moving forward. Meanwhile, Bronson stumbled and fell behind, and the creature caught up to him. Bronson fired his gun, but he missed the target. His last bullet was wasted, and the creature came over and grabbed his throat. Then it raised its sharp-clawed hand to kill him. Suddenly, Saito came back and attacked the creature, freeing Bronson just in time to save his life. Both of them took the chance to run away from there, but they slipped on a slope and fell down, and both got badly hurt and seriously wounded. The next day, they opened their eyes in terrible condition. Saito saw that there was a sharp object had pierced in. It was hurting a lot, but despite that, he gathered his courage and pulled the sharp thing out. Bronson was lying on a branch hanging over the waterfall. When he tried to move, the branch started swinging, and despite trying to keep his balance, Bronson fell, hit a rock, and then fell into the water. He struggled hard, but managed to swim to the shore. Meanwhile, Saito found a dead soldier's sword. They had separated, and the creature let out another blood-curdling scream from the waterfall above the river where they were walking. Both of them overheard this and got pretty freaked out. After drinking water from the Saito River, he set out to find his buddy Bronson. Bronson had climbed up ahead, and despite tons of difficulties, he kept pushing forward. Evening started to fall, and even though both were trying hard to find each other, they just couldn't. Meanwhile, Bronson reached a waterfall and thought he'd take a little break, but then he heard a noise coming from his breath, and when he turned his neck, he saw a huge crocodile right there. With no other option left,
Hyle stayed still. The crocodile just watched and then went back into the water. Johnson, still pretty scared, moved forward. That's when he saw the creature in front of him, tending to its wounds, putting something on. Bronson realized this wasn't some dumb creature. It could think. It could heal itself. Now Bronson wondered how he could tell Saito about this. He was hiding, watching the monster as it came to the riverbank. Suddenly, the crocodile attacked the creature and dragged it into the water. The water suddenly turned red, and for a while the crocodile struggled to breathe. But then, out of nowhere, that creature surfaced and brutally tore the crocodile in two. Seeing this, Bronson got even more scared. Meanwhile, Saito found a dead body hanging from a tree. Terrified, he stumbled and fell into a pit. Inside the pit, Saito saw the head of another creature just like that one. He backed away in fear, but then noticed it was already dead. With a new sense of hope, he decided to get out of there. Near the body, he started looking for anything useful. He noticed the dead man was holding a gun. Seeing the bullet casings on the ground, he figured this guy must have been the one who killed that creature. So he took the gun too. Now he had a sword and a pistol. He thought, all right, now I'm going to hunt that creature myself. Then, on the way, he came across the wreckage of a broken plane half submerged in water. He swam over to it and started going inside. That's when he noticed some strange things inside the plane. Meanwhile, Bronson finds another part of the plane and heads over to it. Before going inside, he makes a weapon out of some old scraps of metal. When he goes in, he finds a flare gun, a lighter, cigarettes, and some other small stuff. As he's about to leave, he notices something stuck on the plane's wing. Looking closer, he realizes it's a bomb. Seeing the bomb sparks an idea in his mind. He then sits back calmly and starts smoking a cigarette. Just then, he hears footsteps. When he turns around, he sees Saito standing there. He was really scared, shaking. Then he said, "I want to show you something important." After that, they both went inside a cave. Once there, Saito pointed to something strange. They saw a female monster sitting on another egg. Bronson started moving slowly towards her, but Saito warned him, "That's a female. Stay away. She gets really dangerous when protecting her home and kids." But Bronson said, "I'm not leaving without killing it." Saito tried to talk him out of it.
The thing is, if we kill the female, the rest of the creatures will get way more dangerous. They'll come after us no matter what. But Bronson didn't listen. He said either they live or I do. He had an idea in his head and took Saito with him. Bronson showed him the bomb he got from the plane and said, "Help me get this to that monster's lair." Together, they struggled a lot to carry the bomb there. When they finally got there, they saw the bomb's trigger had gotten bent. Bronson then tried to fix it, but Saito says, "Let's get out of here fast. This thing could blow up anytime." Meanwhile, the female is heading back to her cave. Bronson says there's an emergency hammer on the plane. It might come in handy, but one of them will have to stay behind to activate the bomb. Saito sadly says, "It's because of me we're stuck here, and I'm ready to stay." Just then they hear the female's groan, so both of them move out. Bronson lights a flare so they can see in the dark, and now Saito is standing guard. Bronson was trying to pull the hammer out, but it was stuck and it took all his strength. Suddenly, a monster appeared in front of Saito, and Saito got ready to fight. They had an intense battle, and the creature was fighting smart and carefully. In the end, Bronson managed to pull the hammer out. Saito stood his ground and fought the monster, pushing it back toward the plane. Bronson got several chances to strike the creature with the hammer. Both of them ended up fighting the creature fiercely. He managed to keep it under control for a while, but when he looked up at the sky, he saw the flare's fire slowly dying out. Then, when he looked ahead, the creature was gone. Both of them quickly headed back to the cave to finish the job. Saito started keeping watch again, while Bronson was trying to fix the bomb. Just as it got fixed, the creature attacked from behind, but Saito immediately stabbed the creature in the chest, and just as it was about to cut off his head, the creature shoved him against the wall. He attacks Bronson once again. He badly beats Bronson and injures him, but somehow, Saito musters up his courage, picks up his gun, and shoots the creature right in the eye. Because of that, the creature lets go of Bronson. Saito fires again, but misses, so he changes his aim and shoots at the creature's egg. The egg explodes, and one of the female's babies falls to the ground. Seeing this, she goes absolutely crazy with anger. Saito steps in to help his friend. He ran, but Bronson was seriously wounded. He handed all his stuff to Saito and told him to get out of there quickly. Basically, he was ready to sacrifice his own life. Hearing this, Saito felt sad, and the creature was sitting holding her baby. Reluctantly, Saito left his friend and came out of the cave. The female creature came over to Bronson, and then he immediately activated the bomb. Bronson started the countdown, but when he reached 3, the bomb didn't go off. Then, using his friend Saito's method with the bomb, he activated it, and boom, there was a huge explosion. Saito saw it from afar and was really upset after losing his friend. Then he heard that terrifying scream again and realized the creature was still alive. He started running through the bushes and the female was chasing him, running ahead along the forest path. Saito reached the seaside, sat down on his knees in despair, feeling defeated. But then he remembered his friend's sacrifice, got furious, and decided to fight. As soon as the female reached the shore and saw someone kneeling, she lunged at him in a flash. But it was a trap, and now Saito angrily emerged from the sand and stood in front of the creature. He struck the creature hard, but ended up badly wounded himself. He didn't give up and stood up again to face the creature. He provoked the female by saying, "I killed your kids, so come on now." And when she attacked Saito, he slashed her belly open in one strike. The female fell down injured. Saito went over to the weakened female and drew his sword to finish her off. But instead of killing her, he stuck the sword into the ground nearby and stepped back a few paces to grab a flare gun. Just then he heard more noises coming from the forest and started heading toward the sea. He tried to fire a flare with the gun, but the flare was broken. His last hope was gone. Completely exhausted, he collapsed onto the sand and passed out. A few hours later, Saito's eyes. On the American ship, Saito was being questioned by an officer. There was also a Japanese interpreter who understood Saito's language and would translate what he said. The officer asked if Bronson had helped him, but Saito stayed silent. Then the officer told the interpreter to ask him what he had done, what his crime was. Saito replied, "I killed my own commander, because he was just leading my men to their deaths for no reason." The officer started talking about Bronson again, and about the time Saito had spent with him. They were reminiscing about the moments. During this tough time, just being there for each other made them good, true friends, even though their countries were enemies. Then the officer asked if anyone else was alive on this island. Saito said no one was left. Then he started looking out the ship's window. As their ship was moving away from the shore, it became clear that there were actually many more creatures there. Creatures that were nearly impossible to get rid of, because they just keep multiplying. And with that, the story of this movie ends right there.